Hey, Shawnee from SpeedCubeView.com. So we have a problem. This is the yearly cube mega comparison, and there are just way too many. This doesn't even scratch the surface of all of the cubes, all of the 3x3s that I have. What we need to do is eliminate ones that are not even being produced anymore, or if they are not in contention for anything really. So let's take a look at this. So for example, we've got anything Cyclone Boys, I'm just going to put to the side. MoYu had a lot of their developer, creator, what am I thinking of? Designer puzzles. So the Yan 3 that isn't really being produced anymore. Actually, wasn't there a second one that was made? I don't know, maybe they hinted at that. But that's gone. So is the MoHui something and a few other ones like that. Tanglong isn't really produced anymore. I'm going to talk about the GTS version 1, but the Mei Ying isn't really being produced anymore. The X-Men Tornado, the thing, Thunderclap version 2. So yeah, let's just take out some of the FangXi ones, because FangXi doesn't really do much of anything anymore as far as 3x3s go. Old DaYan cubes, GAN puzzles that aren't really being produced anymore, although we'll have new ones. But okay, so I think this is a bit better. We're going to talk about, I'm going to go through each company, and this is going to be the top of the line puzzles, as well as budget ones, as well as mini-sized ones. So let's go over that. Oh, there's one more mini one I need to add. And there'll be timestamps in the description for where to jump to if you just want a specific brand or you want a overall overview at the very end. If you want to watch all of it, awesome. Join me through this journey. Now, of course, there's some things that are going to be missing, either because I don't feel like they really fit into this category anymore, or they're not out yet, or maybe I just don't have it yet. So, for example, there's two big ones. One is the new one from YuXin, the YuXin, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm just going to put the name right there. I thought the old one was called the Unicorn Kings. Maybe that's the translation of it. But the version 2 of that has tiles. I don't have mine yet. I'll probably get it in the next few days, if not the next couple weeks. And also the Valk 3 Elite. That's the third generation one. We've got the Valk 3, the Valk Power, and then the Elite ones coming out. So I don't have those. There'll be reviews of it. If you're watching this in the future, there's that. If there's ones that, are older ones, I'm not including that. If the ones that came out later, check that. I recently just had someone post on my 4x4 mega comparison from, I think 2 or 3 years ago, complaining that I didn't put the GAN on there, or I think it was a Wuxue, some other big one. Look at the date. Okay, anyways, let's jump into things. I'm going to kind of go alphabetically first through the different brands. And so let's look at GAN first. I'm just going to slide all of this up as far as I can, kind of still keep it in frame so I don't lose anything. Yeah, okay. So GAN, we have a few different things. We've got the Rubik's one, which I don't actually know if they're producing, but I still see them out in the wild. Speaking of Rubik's, I should add them because, the people still do get them. Okay, so Rubik's one, we've got the GAN X, the GAN 354, the GAN 356R, and the SM. Now, there is an SM 2019, which I don't have yet, but from what I've seen, really the big difference is the screws are the newer ones, the new GES system that doesn't come with white, orange, or red. I've heard the pieces are slightly different, but I've seen really nothing to officially show that. So let's talk about these. The obvious difference with the Rubik's version is it's quite a bit slower and it comes with tiles, and the tiles are a little bit more dull. I'm calling this a GAN puzzle just because you can get them where GAN puzzles are sold and not Rubik's ones. Corner cutting is okay. It's actually, all of these have a very similar design, but it's quite stable. Honestly, it's decent for a starter puzzle, but unless you just really want to support the Rubik's company, I would say don't worry about that one. The 354 is a great mini puzzle. I found the 354 to be a little more sharp-edged and a little more, not catchy. I don't want to say it's catchy, but it doesn't feel as rounded as some of the other ones. Might be from the size, they just sort of cut it down and that ended up happening with it. but I'm not a big fan of the feeling. I was super excited about this. Now, a lot of people use it, especially for one-handed, because it's just a couple millimeters smaller than the other one. And so it can work really well for one-handed. Of all the comparisons I've done on my own, I like the 356. As far as performance-wise, a little bit better. And I do like smaller puzzles, so it's kind of was a surprise for me that I liked that. Okay, we have the 356, the X, and then the R. I did a review of the R, and without magnets, I feel like it's a little bit too expensive for the price. Also, I'm going to be a little more blunt with these videos than I used to be, just because there's a lot of things now, and I know people need help finding puzzles. So compared to the X, you know, the price is much different. It's about 16 bucks instead of 60. But without magnets, I don't know if it's worth the price unless you really want a GAN puzzle. If you're going to add magnets, though, this one has magnets. And it's really nice with magnets. So if you want a GAN puzzle and you're not concerned by these shades being a little bit more dull, this could be a really good puzzle for GAN puzzle for about, I would say 20 bucks with, you know, buying your own magnets. So that can be really nice with magnets without, again, might be a little too expensive. Between the SM and the X, I get very similar times on each, and the SM only comes in stickered while the X comes in stickerless. So if you like stickerless shades, and these are really nice shades, this could be the one to go for. I think the SM is about $10 cheaper. And for a while, the SM was a bit smoother. The X has been broken in quite a lot and has smoothed out quite a bit. The SM still, I think, is a bit smoother, though. Just, it might be the solid piece design that you get, as opposed to this that has those little divots each time, and that might cause a little bit of catching. Or not catching, but you could hear the sound or the click of the magnets, as opposed to this. So, as far as GAN, these are quite expensive. These are going to be the most expensive puzzles out of this entire group by a lot, with about $50 or $60. You know, they're great puzzles, of course, and if you can afford it, go for it. A lot of the top solvers use it, like Felix and Max, but, you know, don't want to make any arguments because so-and-so uses it, that means it's better. Felix even made a video that saying it's not the cube, and he solves a bunch of other different cubes from different companies. I think in the next competition, I'm actually, if it's between these two, will go for the X, just because I've gotten so used to the stickless shades. I just have to know to slow down a little bit. Maybe I'll add a little bit more heavy lube, such as the Speed Cube Shop Weight 6, because this is a lot more controllable. If you want something that's more controllable, the SM's way to go. But if you want something that's stickerless, go for the X. Okay, let's move on. DaYan. Now, I don't have the DaYan 2018, I think it's called, which I've heard is not bad. This one is, I think it's a 2017 or the 2016, whatever the one that came up before that. Let me look it up so I can be actually correct with this. Okay, so it is the 2017. Now, this one was magnetized from Speed Cube Shop, and it's not bad. It's actually, did have someone say that it's the most stable and most flexible cube he's ever tried at the same time. Which I can see that because it does just want to move even though it is quite stable. It's also my tighter tensions. At one point, my best time, my PB, was with this puzzle. Over all the other ones, it was with the DaYan. So it's got to say something. Would I recommend it over the other ones? Probably not. It's not bad, though, and I've heard the 2018 or 2019, whatever they're calling it, I think it's 2018, is even nicer than that, but I don't know. I'm still going to put this sort of to the side because it's relevant today, but I don't know who you'll see actually using it. Okay, so we have a couple puzzles by KungFu, which I haven't heard too much of them lately, so I don't know what's going on with that, but I still want to go over these. This one is their more budget one, but they have the YongJun, which is this one that has a squared off corners. So make sure if you get a KungFu, get the squared off corners one. It's a very interesting puzzle. I like to use this for FMC for my puzzles because it's just nice and smooth, controllable, flat surfaces. It's honestly a really good budget puzzle. I think this one was around $5, which again, let me check this. I want to make sure I get everything correct. I've got my computer across the screen, so if you see me stretching across the mat, that is why. So actually about $4, but I don't know if it's being produced anymore, or it probably is somewhere. if you find the YongJun and you want something that's budget, that's just a little more stable than some of the other ones that are out there, but still fast and corner cuts fairly well, this is a good one to go. This is a good budget one. And I'm going to move it to the side. I'll do a big final comparison at the end. But if you're going to get KungFu and you see that, get the YongJun, make sure it has the squared off corners. Okay, as far as QiYi goes, so let's get these in order. Where did some of these QiYi puzzles go? I've got this, and these two. Okay, so that is it. So we have the Warrior W. That is their budget one. And I remember when I got it, I didn't like it. I had to use a lot of lubrication and really experiment with setting it up. Corner cutting works well. And its performance is really nice. It's actually an altered Volk. And I didn't know that. I didn't actually even believe that the first time I heard it. And then I tried swapping pieces and they swap really well. So it's actually a Volk with the pieces slightly altered. It works fine. One thing I'm not a big fan of are these shades. They're a little bit too light, and the frosted plastic. Some of the companies for the budget puzzles have frosted plastic, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. This to me isn't really frosted, but just matte. It's a matte finish, M-A-T-T-E, not matte like Matt's Volk, but a matte finish, so it doesn't have that shine to it, which you think might make it grippier, but it actually makes it a little more slick when it's that slick, the shiny plastic. I feel like you're able to grip it more than with this one. So, although it is a really nice puzzle, I know some people who actually prefer this over some of the other top-of-the-line ones. Comparatively, it wouldn't be something I would recommend over the other budget ones. So I'm going to move that to the side. We have the Volk. Oh, there's a Volk. This is the Volk Power, and this is the Volk Mini. Now, both the Volk Power, actually, no, I think it's just the Volk Power comes magnetic. The Mini and the regular one don't normally, but you can get them magnetic. I magnetized both of these. Well, actually, no, this one I think was magnetized from Speedcube Shop. And the Power was magnetized on its own, and then the Mini I magnetized. These are all very similar. The Volk Mini is almost identical to the regular Volk. When I added magnets too, and I added N35 4x2, the performance with the same size magnets actually feels almost identical. Corner cutting is great on all of them. What changed in the Power was it's a little bit smoother with the solid piece here that is primary plastic, and this doesn't feel quite as blocky as the regular one did. The Power feels a little bit more rounded, a little bit nicer feeling overall. The stickerless colors are also fantastic on these. Now, I know a lot of people who like the regular one over the Power. If you don't have any preference or any idea right away, I would say go with the Power. It's a little bit more stable. I haven't heard any issues with breaking pieces, which honestly, I didn't personally have any breaking pieces of my own. Although don't lend your cube to other people to use, because apparently it breaks right away then. But the Volk Power have heard no issues with that. Comes in stickerless as well as stickered. Magnets already installed. This is a really nice puzzle, and I know people, top solvers, using either of these. This can be good for one-handed, but at 4.74 millimeters or centimeters, there we go. It's almost too small. I like this as a travel puzzle, but I've tried doing one-handed solves, and even with using my ring finger, it's a bit tiny. Fun puzzle. I wouldn't recommend it for one-handed. Volk Power is what I'd recommend over the regular Volk if you're getting into it, but like I know some people that prefer the Volk, just the feeling of it. With that said, let's move on to MoYu. Now, MoYu has just been crazy this past year, and they have their budget ones. So we have the, there it is, the MF3RS3, the MF3RS2, the MF3RS, and then we have the Mini CubingClassroom. We have the GTS, the GTS2, and the GTS3. Okay, so why am I bringing the GTS into things? Well, it's not being produced anymore, but it might come back. The new blind world record was set on a version 1 GTS, and MoYu posted something about, do people want us to bring this back? I magnetized this one. It's a great puzzle. I don't know if it'll be back or not, but it's quite clicky and scratchy and flexible without magnets. So we'll see. I'm going to move that to the side. I'm just move it over here, but I want to talk about that real quick. Let's talk about the budget ones first. So the MF3RS is about $5, the RS2 is about $7 or $8, and the RS3 is about $10. They've moved up in price each time. Is the price warranted? Well, from the 1 to 2, I'd say so. The 1 is very flexible and clicky and clangy, and you can get it magnetized, but the version 2 is really nice out of the box. I did a recent comparison between these three, and I know some people, I said there, that use this as their main over any of these other puzzles. The RS2 is a really nice puzzle. It's a lot like the GTS2, but a bit more stable, comes in stickerless and stickered, and magnetized is great. I did magnetize a couple of them. I don't know what happened to them. Maybe I gave them away. The third version gets even more stable, and I wouldn't even think to put magnets in here. I might just because I like that click, but I used to say that the YongJun is more stable than the version 1, but less stable than the Warrior W. These two are similar stability, but the RS2 feels a little bit nicer. The version 3 is very similar to stability of the Warrior W, but you don't get that matte finish, and it just feels a bit nicer. Looks a bit nicer too. Wish they would upgrade that yellow though. Red is nice, blue is nice. They went a little bit darker than they used to, but that yellow, that yellow needs an upgrade. Maybe to what that is, or to what they use on their other puzzles. So between these, what would I recommend? The 2 or the 3. If I was to set one up and use one as my full-time puzzle that I would use as my main, honestly I might go with the 2. I feel like it can be altered a little bit more, slowed down, sped up, and magnets can work really well. If I didn't have magnets, I might go with the third one. So I guess if you don't like setting it up or don't plan to magnetize it, the version 3 is nice. But let's look at these two. So the version 2 I don't think will be going away anytime soon, because the recent world record of the 3.47 I believe was set with a version 2. Version 3 of course is their newer flagship one. They have magnetic and non-magnetic versions, and the 3 has the regular one and light magnets. I like the regular magnets, and for the version 2 I even added more magnets in here so you have a stronger pull. So the regular ones I put an extra 4x2 and 35 on just the edges, and that makes it really nice. Corner cutting on all of these are great. I probably won't even test corner cutting on anything else after this. Version 3 has ridges and feels a little bit bigger, even though they're considered the same size without the ridges. I don't know what I like more. I like the version 2, the feeling of it, the smoothness of it, the performance of it, but I like the shades of the version 3. The ridges actually I do like, and I like their tensioning system. You have this dual tensioning system in there where you can adjust the spring height as well as the screw, so you can make it feel more springy with just adjusting that. It's a really nice tool. In the same post that MoYu talked about bringing back the version 1, they talked about maybe bringing back the number 2, the version 2, with upgraded shades, so what they have here, or bringing back the 3, or redoing the 3 without any ridges. All 3 would be really nice, especially bringing this back and bringing this back. I like the ridges. Some people really hate them, so I'm sure if they removed them, it would still sell. But bring back the 2 with the new shades, that would almost be an instant main for myself, because I like the 2 so much. I remember I posted a video that I finally found what I felt like the perfect cube, where I swapped out MF3RS springs as well, or were they RS2 springs? They were RS2 springs. But yeah, so okay, let's move on from these ones. And, oh, wait, one more. The CubingClassroom, they have mini versions. Now, the mini stickerless versions, this is the smallest one, has that same matte finished plastic. The colors are much better than the Warrior W matte colors, but I still don't like that feeling. So I go for stickered. I replaced the stickers and I magnetized them. This is the 50mm, and I put 4x2 and 35 in here. And this to me is what I prefer for one-handed. It performs great. The magnets really help. I'm a fan of magnets with one-handed, even though, don't take my one-handed suggestions too strongly. These perform really well. The design is similar to stability of a Tanglong. It's not any of these puzzles shrunk down. It's its own design. As far as a mini puzzle, this is one of the best out there, and being 50 millimeters, it's great. They also have 45, and then the 40, 35, and 30 all come with a keychain. So if you want it without that keychain, you just buy two and swap out one of the pieces. Okay, now let's move on. So next we just have the Rubik's brand, and I'm putting these in here because you can get them in the stores, and a lot of people probably have these. There's a regular and the speed cube version. They haven't really altered these since it came out. I do, though, feel like newer versions that have been on the market are faster out of the box. It's quite loud. Corner cutting isn't anything special. Ooh. But it works. The speed version, you can really alter the tensions. But similar piece design doesn't really help too much. If it's all you can get, go for it. Great, do it. But if you can order things online, any of these will be a lot nicer in performance and often cheaper. Which I did forget about talking about some of these prices as far as the Volk and other ones like that. Those can be between $20 and $35. The price can change, so I don't want to be too strict on this is what the price is. But I'll have links in the description to some of the puzzles, or if not, just the general store. So let's go to Shengshou. Now we have the Mr. M. No, sorry, this is the Gem. And I had the Mr. M, but I was trying to experiment and I completely ruined the puzzle, so I need to buy a new one. These are... Oh, that's an oolong. That needs to get out of there. There we go. This is the FangYun. This is the FangYun version 2, and this is their mini Linglong. The Gem and Mr. M are the same puzzle, but the Mr. M comes with magnets and is a undyed plastic. It looks very basic, but it performs surprisingly well. Corner cutting isn't super exceptional, but it really does perform nicely. I was so surprised by how well it performed, even with the way it looked. This, though, is frosted plastic. Let's get a good light. There we go. So you can see this is what I would say frosted plastic is. Like if you had, let's say, glass for a shower that was frosted, this is what it would feel like. Do I like it? No. I don't like the feeling of it too much. It's fun, and it doesn't completely ruin things, but I use this for fewest moves. I use this for FMC because I can put stickers on, and they peel off very easily without really sticking to it. But this is, for just a few dollars, a really good budget puzzle. Would I put in the same category as the MF3 RS2 or RS3? No, I wouldn't. It's definitely not in that same category. But for, let's see pricing right now. Yeah, for $4 compared to maybe $10 or double that, this you can get almost equal times at about half the price. The FangYun was a nice puzzle. It was very much like the GTS version 1. I don't know if they make it anymore. But if you want something from Shengshou, this would be the way to go. It's a really good, stable, solid puzzle. The version 2 I don't like. It's super flexible and airy and cheap feeling. I'm not going to get it out, but it reminds me of the old GAN V2, or GAN 3, the one that was 55 millimeters. And with magnets, this might be great. Actually, can I get this cap off? Oh my god, there are magnets in there. Did I know that right there for the first time? I don't know if I knew that. I must have. You can tell there's magnets. Oh god, and it still feels really cheap and flexible. Ugh. Maybe stronger magnets? I don't know. But if you can get the FangYun version 1, get that. If you get the version 2, don't. They're mini, which is a mini Linglong. I changed the stickers. It's not a great puzzle. It has some really cool divots, like a golf ball. But it does have the old smooth feeling that Shengshou cubes used to be known for. Because of that, it's pretty quiet. What is the size of this, though? I think it's 46 millimeters. Yeah, it's 46 millimeters. Is it a good mini puzzle for travel? Yeah, it's great. Is it one that you would speed solve with? No. I would spend the extra money and get a Vault, or spend about the same money and get the 45 or 50 millimeter CubingClassroom. So I'm going to move that to the side and move these back. Now we have YuXin. So we've got the Little Magic and the Huanglong. Now they do have, like I said, the new one that's coming out. Just look for that review soon if you're really curious about it. And you're looking at this, a month later, let's say it's February 2019, look up that video. So YuXin Little Magic, this is a really nice budget puzzle. This performs like some of the top of the line ones, and for about $5, it's really good. The stickers are really bad at first. I've heard they've changed those, but depending where you order it from, they might still be the old one. Stickerless though, it does look much nicer. I'm not usually a big fan of their color scheme, but it looks like they've changed it a little bit. This does have a little bit of that matte finish too. I don't know why people keep doing that. Maybe it's purposefully to make their budget ones seem cheaper when their performance is pretty much the same. Now I've also magnetized a lot of them, and a magnetic YuXin Little Magic can perform even better. It's more flexible than the MF3 RS2 and especially the MF3 RS3, but it's not super flexible. You can see right there all those little grooves. So there's definitely a lot of stability right in there. And yeah, this is a great budget puzzle. The Huanglong, get the one that has magnets in it, which this one doesn't. For the Huanglong, I would suggest getting one with magnets just because it can be a little bit too flexible. It's a similar idea to the Little Magic, but more flexible. And I would almost say that they used the same design and just tweaked it slightly. It does perform really well. Sticker quality is a lot nicer. I'm a little more fan of a half bright, so I would normally change that. If I was to compare it to anything, I would almost pull out the Volk Power and say that they're similar ideas, but the Volk Power is just executed a little bit better. It's quite a bit heavier and a little bit more, let's say, controlled, while this one feels like it needs a little bit more, and that's why I'd say get the magnetic version and possibly add even stronger magnets to it. And we have one more thing, and that is YJ. So YJ has their MGC and MGC version 2. This one's around $15, this one's around $20, and both of these I've tried adding extra magnets because I like a stronger magnetic click. They're fine on their own, but extra magnets here and extra magnets in not this one, but a different one, really make it nicer and more stable. This has a more rounded piece, but it's nearly impossible to corner twist on what I would call reasonable tensions. It feels in the hands more budget compared to what a top-of-the-line puzzle would feel like, but it performs not like a budget puzzle. It performs like a higher-end one. It is a bit slower, and that's when they came out with the version 2, which is quite a bit faster. Looks like a higher-end puzzle, and performs more like it. The one issue that this has come up a lot is that it has some catching, which I don't have that issue. The catching is no different than a lot of the other puzzles, and I think just because it's faster causes that. So, tighter tensions, the blue springs, which are a little bit tighter, and even doubling up some magnets, I feel like really help. This one I didn't double up, and I still get fine solves with it. If it was between these two, I would probably in a competition go with the version 2, but also because it's stickerless and I like that. If you don't know which one to get, the version 1 is perfectly fine, and your solves will be almost the same times. Okay, let's do an overview. So first, let's talk about mini puzzles. We've got the Volk, the CubingClassroom, Shengshou. No contest, Shengshou is going to get put away. This is almost a little bit too small, and if you want a mini puzzle for one-handed, get the CubingClassroom, magnetize it with 4x2 and 35s. I would say get the stickered version because you can change the stickers. Plus, they're cheap, so you can get a few of them. And then you have puzzles for blind, for multi-blind. Might want to remove the logos since you can't have that in blind. So, okay. So, mini cube, this would be my suggestion. I'll put that in the description below, the link directly to that one puzzle. So, let's talk about the budget ones. And for budget, I'm going to say around $16 or so. even though budget could be $5, it's a really weird line to draw, but I'll talk about pricing and that sort of thing. So let's actually just organize them as far as what I would say stability. And I feel like the MF3RS and the GaN 356R will be on that far left side of being quite a bit flexible and needing magnets to perform well. And then on the right side, we have ones that are almost a bit too stable. And so on this side, we have ones that are quite a bit stable and you don't really need magnets. The Warrior W and the MF3RS3. Of course, you can add them, but I don't feel like that needs it at all. And then the ones in the middle are ones that can use magnets, but they work well without or with. Now, the MGC version 1 does come with. And of all of these puzzles, this is the one that comes with magnets on its own. And so if you want that and you don't want to do any work, it's definitely worth it for a magnetic puzzle. The Mr. M, this is the gem. The Mr. M is the version of this with magnets. But as far as performance goes, I don't even think this really competes with the MGC. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. Now, compared to the FangYun, the Little Magic, the MF3RS2, and the LongYun, I'm going to move the LongYun out of the way. And even the FangYun, just because I don't know if it's still in production anymore, there's still some out there. Really nice, high-end feeling puzzle for a really cheap price. I'm going to move it out of the way and leave us with the MF3RS2 and the YuXin Little Magic. If I was to do a competition and I had these ones, if I magnetized these, I would probably go with one of these two. I don't know which one, depends if you want something a little more stable or a little bit more bubbly feeling, and kind of what stickerless shades you'd like. I like the stickerless shades of the CubingClassroom series over the YuXin. If I was lazy and didn't want to add magnets, the 356R would actually be a good puzzle, but I don't like these shades. So that's what really draws me out there. So as far as budget ones, even though we've had a few big releases, I would still go with the Little Magic or MF3RS2 and add magnets to that, or the MGC if you just want one, or if that magnet's already installed. But I do like adding magnets on top, making it even stronger. So let's move these out of the way and go to our final big comparison and go over what would be best to choose. So we have the YuXin Huanglong and the MGC version 2. Both are around $20 or a little bit less than that. Then we have the GTS2 and GTS3, the Volk and Volk Power, the DaYan that I'm going to move out of the way, Rubik's Brand I'm going to move out of the way, and leave us with the GaN 354, GaN SM, and GaN 356X. Now, this is probably a good demonstration of pricing. The magnetic versions, I think, are somewhere like this. The Volk doesn't come magnetic, and so between these, I'm going to actually just stick to the Volk Power. Probably going to anger some people who prefer the regular one, but if I was just to send someone off and get a magnetic version and they want to spend money, get the power. That's a cool slogan. Get the power. Anyways, I should not give them any ideas. So let's talk about these. The Huanglong is nice and the MGC is really nice. For a top-of-the-line puzzle that is the cheapest out there, these would be the way to go. I think if I was a competition, I would probably use the Huanglong over the MGC, but with practice, I've actually gotten used to both, and I like the multiple spring options that you can get with the MGC version 2, and so I use the blue ones here. So I'm going to move those out of the way. If you want a higher-end puzzle and you don't want to spend a lot of money, that would be the way to go, one of these two. Between the Volk Power, the GTS2, and the GTS3, I feel like I like the smoothness of the GTS2 over the other ones. I like the actual ridges of the GTS3 and the colors. I think these are some of the best colors out there, similar to what the Volk Power is. The Volk Power is nice and comes with different spring sets, but I'm curious what the Volk Elite would be, and if there's a competition, I would probably go to one of these two over this one. And because the color shades of that yellow, that one difference makes me choose the GTS3 over the GTS2. If MoYu comes out with that GTS2 with different shades, do that. And lastly, we have the GaN puzzle, 354, 356, and the SM. Like I said a little earlier, I like the size 354, but I just don't like the performance compared to these ones. Is it a fine puzzle? Yeah, and I've had great solves with it. I've had great times, but there's just something about the sharpness of these edges that, and the angled of some of the pieces, that I almost wish they just took the SM and shrunk it down. or I don't know, something is different than this. Maybe they just need to round everything out a little bit more. So I'm gonna move it to the side. If you want a smaller puzzle and you want it to be a high-end one, this is kind of your only option. The Volk Power and GTS 2 are 55.5 millimeters. This is 54 millimeters. Not a big difference, but it can be a lot to some people. Between the SM and the X, now we're getting into really high range puzzles. And although I like both and I like the smoothness of the SM, I do find myself going to the X a bit more. Should you get the numerical IPG or the version 5, that's up to you. I have the numerical one here, which is where you can just set the tensions by turning it with your hand. It's on the tightest tensions and still might be too loose for my own liking, as well as others. So that's the downside with the numerical one. You can't get any tighter than that. And if that's too tight, or that's too loose, you can't really go any different. This is where the big debate comes in. Which should I get? Which one would I recommend over these two? I have no idea. I've used both I've used this at competitions. I'm right now planning on using this one at the next competition, but I'll go back and forth with it. This is much, much, much faster and lighter, and you have to slow it down, I would say. This one was faster and lighter, but after about half a year of working with it, it's definitely slowed down a bit, and I've added a lot of lubrication, then wiped it out, cleaned it again, changed again. The tensions are quite tight right now. So both of these could be really nice, but you probably will need to slow it down. So if you do order it, get some weight 6, or if you do get any lighter lube, like Martian, you'll probably have to add a lot of it in there. So that kind of wraps things up. I'm going to put these are kind of the end result of recommendations here for budget, and here for mini. Thank you very much for watching. Be on the lookout for the individual reviews of other ones coming out later on. If you want more detail on any of these puzzles, I have reviews on almost every single one, if not at least an unboxing or short video on it. So check that out. If you watch this entire video, awesome job. Thank you very much for doing that. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and as always, stop by speedqbview.com for more news and reviews.